Okay, so you have your podcast finished, but you now need people to listen to it. But you don't have it anywhere online. So how are you going to get it to Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts? Like, there's so many options. And how do you get them on all of them? Because you want to be everywhere. You want the chance to expose your podcast to the world. So how do you do that? Well, with YouTube, we know that you upload the physical video to YouTube and it's on YouTube. But for podcasts, it's a little bit different. You don't actually physically give your MP3 file to Spotify. No, you got to host your podcast somewhere. And then you're going to take this thing called an RSS feed, which I will explain in another video in more in depth. It's not as scary as it sounds, but you're going to take that RSS feed and you're going to submit it to the podcast players like Apple Podcasts and, of course, Spotify and all of them. But you need a place to host it. And a lot of these hosting platforms actually take away the hard task of sending it to those players that I already mentioned. So a lot of them cut those steps for you so you don't really have to sweat and get frustrated.